Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. Oh, I once was lost, but now I'm found. Was blind, but now I see. But for your grace, I could not be saved. But for your grace, I would go my way. I'm forever grateful that you have been faithful to me, Lord, for your amazing grace. But for your grace, I could not be saved. But for your grace, I would go my way. I'm forever grateful that you have been faithful to me, Lord, for your amazing grace, for your amazing grace, for your amazing
Welcome to VidDevoChurch. One of the things we've been doing and customizing in our approach to the millennial generation is to recognize that there are things that you know based upon your own instinct, your own personal knowledge, your growth and development in a generation that has grown up with computers, smartphones, digital media, information systems, with basic predicated ideas that my generation didn't have. Now you could say that the Jesus generation, we who were born of this last generation before the millennials, we grew up with knowing that Jesus was coming, but in some ways sold out in some things that maybe you haven't heard about and maybe we won't admit about. But as much as we were talking about how Jesus was coming, at the same time, a lot of people in the movement, a lot of Jesus freaks, you can tell right now that they kind of got involved in the world and its ways. Pretty much got involved in the world system, began to occupy the world with what they wanted to occupy and take with them, and creating even sometimes false theologies and false ideas. For instance, like creating your own little kingdom so that when Jesus comes, he'll just slap you on the back and say, welcome, come on in. You have your own little fiefdom. It's not going to happen that way. You as a millennial pretty much know that there's some things that you've heard that are kind of interesting, and we're going to talk about that. In your understanding of what you're interested in, I mean, you pretty much grew up with thoughts and concepts like vampires. I mean, come on now. You know as well as I do that there's a lot of interest in vampires. You know, blood sucking and all that kind of stuff, you know, living forever. Themes that seem to generate some kind of interest, and you really can't put a finger on why. Or the undead, you know, the living dead. You know, those are really good, important ideas that, frankly, come out of the Bible, whether you know it or not. And those are some of the things that we want to talk to you about in the millennial generation. There's a lot of interest generated with the let's see, the living dead, oh, zombies, there we go, with zombies. I mean, what kind of fascination do you have, I mean, with zombies, and why? Have you ever stopped to think about that for a minute? What's so interesting about zombies? Or, you know, I don't mean to kind of like burst your bubble, but when I was growing up in the Jesus movement, we knew that violence was not the answer. Matter of fact, Kent State, shooting students, Black Panthers rioting, Vietnam War veterans coming back and telling us the horrors of war, knowing that there was a consequence to taking blood, people having post-traumatic stress syndrome before they even called it that. They just wrote you off and said, you're crazy. We kind of knew that, and so it may be a surprise to you, but we didn't do much about it except to set you up for what you're involved in now. So your generation, the millennials, you're pretty much violent. I mean, you know, you've been raised in violence, you got violent games, you're ready to go to war. And a matter of fact, I don't think you've ever stopped being involved in war, have you? I mean, from flag salutes to pledging allegiance to taking care of our, quote, heroes that are supposed to be from the military? Really? That's a hero? Okay. I mean, if you're a Christian, you would have to kind of go, really? Do you really think somebody killing somebody's a hero? Now, you say it's for protection, but you're not stupid. You're a millennial. You have the internet. You have Google. You have the availability of seeing all these things and knowing that just because a shock jock tells you something, that don't mean that it's true. Matter of fact, sometimes you know that it's false, and you know that they're just making up a story. So, one of the things that we want to talk about is, why is this happening to you? Where are we going, and what are we going to do for the millennial generation? And that's what I want to present to you. I want you to start recognizing your importance. God has chosen you. There's a purpose and a plan for you as the millennial generation.